5, scores! Rick Vaughn.
We decided to get ourselves back in the game again with our podcast.
Rick Vaughn, Gary Madden.
Probably the craziest story that you're ever going to hear about hockey.
We're going to be coming back to you on a regular basis.
You are listening to Squid and the Ultimate Leafs Fan.
Hello, Canada and hockey fans of the United States and Newfoundland, and an extra big hello to Canadian servicemen overseas.
Everyone, episode 98 of the Squid and Ultimate Leaf Fan Show. I'm Mike Wilson, the Ultimate Leafs fan. Joining me as always, my winger, Ricky Squid Vibe. Squid, how are we keeping?
Well, gosh, Mike, we're almost at 100.
I know.
I mean, that's pretty impressive, but I'm doing fine. I'll tell you what, though, I played in the RBC Scramble yesterday. So they put 8 people together, so 2 teams, so that you don't cheat.
Yeah.
6.5 hours we were on the golf course.
Nice.
Oh, I tell you, I was exhausted. I played great for 12 holes, and then I just lost it. I was so tired.
Well, that's why we have 90. Well, after today, I'm speaking to our guest today, Andre. After we have him on, that's why we want to do 98 shows. It keeps you away from doing all that other nonsense. So which it isn't nonsense. They're always good causes that you always got to think about what you're doing it for and who's benefiting from it, and that's the good thing, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, our guest today was taken 151st overall by the Boston Bruins in the 1994 draft. Enjoyed a 14-year pro career with stops in Ottawa and Tampa, where he won a Stanley Cup, Pittsburgh and Calgary. He's a tough physical player. He was a tough physical player, and he certainly made his presence felt when he was on the ice. Please welcome Andre Waugh. Andre, first off, thanks for joining us, and how you keeping, man?
Hey, pretty good. Enjoying the summer, even though it's a chilly summer, I got to say. But, still enjoying myself, trying to golf and enjoy the family and friends a little bit for the summer. But I'm doing well. How about you guys?
Squid?
Good. Right on.
All good, Andre. Except yesterday, the RBC Scramble. It was a 6.5 hour round.
Wow! I heard you say that. That's crazy. Golf. If there's something that kind of drives me nuts, and I'm sure every golfer is to wait and while you're playing golf. When you can play a 18 hole in 3.5 hours, and you wait like 5, 6 or whatever. Oh man, I don't have the patience for that. But good for you, bud.
No. Well, I kind of lost it after the 12th hole.
Yeah. Now, Andre, what were your thoughts on the way the NHL scene ended with the Avs on top?
The what?
With Colorado winning. What was your thoughts on the final?
Oh, wow. Great playoff run, great playoff run. A lot of people had mixed They were like some people were thinking Tampa was going to take this, and some other it was like 50 whatever, it was half and half. Obviously, being a former Lightning, won the Cup there in 2004, I always try to support the Lightning the best I can, especially with going to playoffs. The only thing that I was a little worried was the concern for me was that they played so much hockey in the last 2 years, so going in a third year again in the finals, I was like, man, that might be tough with the traveling to Colorado, the altitude, all that. That was something that I was a little maybe a concern for Tampa, but Colorado, what a year they had. They didn't steal anything. They were just, I think, the better team at the end there.
Now, when you won your cup, how long before we just want to get into a little bit what players may be feeling, but how long before your feet came back to earth?
Actually, well, my year was 2004, so a lot of talk about the lockout was everywhere. Right. Everybody's saying in 2005, obviously, we missed a full year there, so everybody's like, yeah, it's going to be a lockout. So my Stanley Cup championship, I partied until, I don't know, August, September. Guys were at the gym. And guys were at the gym. I was like, there's going to be a lockout anyways, everybody. But I said, if there is a season, then I might be in trouble, especially going to camp with John Tortorella. So we all know Torts, how he's a maniac about conditioning. But oh man, I partied hard. Everywhere I go, everybody just wants to have beers or whatever, shots with me. So that year, oh my God, I was so out of shape. It was crazy. But I enjoyed it. I partied hard. Yeah. But,
well, Andre, if that was back in my day, they would have partied until Christmas.
Oh yeah.
With the lockout.
Yeah. Oh, I
so,
know.
Andre, take us back to your last years as junior. Did you have any feeling of who was going to take you, and take us through your draft?
Yeah, well, I came in late, like in the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League, and because I play once I play in Bantam, you have to play Double A to get invited to Triple A. But I'm not going to get into details. But you know how it is in minor hockey sometimes in different cities. The fodder and there was a big, I think, anyways. A lot of stuff happened, and I don't know the coach. I don't know. I'm not gonna get into details, but something about like coach maybe didn't like me or whatever. There's a little bit of jealousy. I was a good hockey player, believe it or not. I could score goals in minor hockey, and I was one of the top players. You know, big, strong guy, big shot. I always had a great slap shot. Anyways, so the long story short, I didn't get invited to the midget Triple A, so I played midget Double A 2 years, and I got finally drafted. I was 18 because I showed up in the queue in Quebec there at our Beauport is now the Quebec Ramparts where Patrick was coaching. So I got drafted there, and I kind of knew, okay, this is my last chance. I got to have an impact, and I think that's how I started really getting into the physicalness and fighting. Because I remember going to camp, one of my buddies was already playing in the queue. He's like, "Well, Andre, you know you're tall. You're a big guy. Well, big guy. I was skinny, but I was a tall guy. So for sure, people are going to come after you, trying to fight you. And those days, we're talking 91, 92, a lot of fights, obviously. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to, growing up with two brothers, going toe-to-toe in the living room after the WWF on Sunday mornings, of seeing the Hulkster and Macho Man we used to fight. And I was like, I'm just going to go and fight whoever, wants to go. And I remember my first fight, I'm in training camp. We're playing black against white, and Patrick Cote played in Nashville and Dallas, a former tough guy. Didn't play long, but some people might remember the name. He was pretty tough and punched me in the face. I scored a goal, cross-checked me and punched me. I was like, all right, let's go. So I dropped the mitts, never fought on skates. I started just throwing punches, but it was so... I was like aiming for the fence, going like trying to fight, and on my knees back up, swinging, taking a punch in the face, and then going back down. I was all over the place, but I was like, it's not too bad. I took a couple good punches in the face and the head, and then I got in another fight with another guy. I did okay. Then slowly I got in a couple scraps. I said, I'm just gonna keep doing whatever and try to play the game at the same time. I always and people laugh because they watch. Well, no, they laugh. I mean, people that know me that play minor hockey kind of know that I could play like all the tough guys. I think that if you look back at guys like Probert, Domi, they were all good hockey players growing up. We kind of changed our styles as it went on in the pro hockey, right? So where was I going with this? Too long story
your draft.
right now. My draft, and then I was trying to copy like the Rick Tocchet, Cam Neely, and even Wendell Clark, like physical power forward. People are like, yeah, right, Cam Neely. I was like, yeah, I know, right. He scored 50 with stuff, but I still had I was trying to copy that type of player, anyway. So I started fighting and did okay, got drafted by the Bruins, and then my draft was in Hartford in 94. So 1 year, played my full year in Quebec, got traded to Chicoutimi, went to the Memorial Cup, show up at the draft. So I'm there, and then I won 51st round, it's kind of far away, 6th round. So I'm in the stands, and I had two of my buddies. My parents could come anyway, so I was two of my buddies, and we're just talking, and the Bruins called my name up. They're like, from Chicoutimi, Saguenay, Saint-Jean, Wow. So I have no clue what, yeah, last night that girl. Oh, yeah, last week, did you hook up with that girl? Yeah, she was hot. Yeah, good for you. So they're waiting with my jersey at the bottom of the stairway. My agent's like, Andre. I'm like, what? He's like, go ahead. Go where? You just got drafted. I was like, where? I like my buddies, we looked at each other. Boston just drafted you. They're waiting. Hey, with my buddies, high fives. Hey. So I go down the stairs. The poor lady's waiting there for 10 minutes with the jersey and the hat. I was like, sorry, I was at the bathroom and we had a couple beers up there. No, I know. So, and I remember my English was all right. It's okay. I understood to speak. It was worse than now, which is okay now. But I remember going to the Bruins table. I go around, shake the hands of everyone, around the table. Hey, thank you. They're like, are your parents here? But I understood. Do you want a beer? So I'm like, sure. So they're like, oh, really? Where? I was like, what? What did you ask me? They're like, are your parents here? Oh, sorry. No, they're not. I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll have a beer. I didn't know. I was so nervous. I thought it was maybe a thing to maybe crack a beer. What a bad start for me. They're probably, okay, this kid. Anyways, but that was kind of funny. So I called my parents from there, just tell them I got drafted in Boston. Anyways, good times. So from there, I kind of knew, I had a foot in the door, but I still needed to work and improve so I could sign a contract with the Bruins.
Well, they've always been known as a physical team, the Bruins going way back. So, I mean, this probably fits your criteria perfectly. So did this also mentally prepare you going to camp, knowing what you had to do to make that club?
Yeah, exactly. I knew the Bruins were always known to be like pretty physical,
Yeah.
And I remember also, first camp for sure. I went to camp and I tell people that I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready because I felt like a kid with mans, And I remember going in the locker room and like I said, Neely is there, Cam there, Ray Bork, Don Sweeney, even I think Rick Tocchet, Kevin Stevens, those guys, and Big Al Iafredi too was there one year, anyways. But I was like, oh my God, what am I doing here? Seriously, I was like maybe 203, 204 back then when I was 200. I was 19 years old, so. And I was like, man, those were like idols for me, and I used to watch them growing up, and then here I am in camp with all these guys. I was like, so my first camp was more of a, hey guys, I'm here. Thanks for the opportunity. And so I went back to juniors, but I had a really good season. I don't know. I think the drafting and the camp, going to camp really helped me out. Confidence-wise, so I had a pretty good season at 19 in the Q. I finished with 33 goals, and 323 PIMs, and no, but I had a decent year, so they signed me, and so up going to my next camp, I had that first camp and the second camp, and one of the scouts took me aside and said, Andre, I just want to make sure, we drafted you. We like you. You're here not to score goals. You're here to be physical. And so I was like, really? Okay. Now, I don't know. The way he said it to me, it meant like, okay, don't try to score goals and be pretty out there. So I was like, holy, it was like a slap in the face. So that second year I started finishing checks. I fought a little bit in camp, with some of the young rookies there. And then, I think that was the year I at 20 years old, I played in Providence with the farm team there. So, but then on slowly, on my confidence, I started building my confidence and believing that I'm playing with the pros. And it took a couple of years, but finally made it.
Well, you obviously realized early on that you had to change your role from what you did when you played junior hockey or midget or whatever it might be. Because as you know, probably everybody in the NHL was the best player all the way up from the time they started playing. But then they get to the National League, and then it's a different story. And some guys got to become third, fourth line guys, third pairing defense, because they don't fit in the other part of the roster, and they got to kind of change their game. And the ones that understand it and do it quickly are the ones that usually have good success.
Absolutely. You're totally correct there, Rick. Because, there's so many hockey players in the world. They draft so many players every year. And I've seen in camp, I've seen some skilled hockey players, but they just didn't have that little edge, the kind of going through the motions, and just a waste of talent, and they could have played for sure. A lot of guys, first, second rounders, whatever. So I think that's where you have to say, okay, what's my role? What do I need to do to really make the NHL? And that's where I realized. I said, I'm gonna play the game, but I need to change it, be physical, and just believe that I belong with all these guys. So that's what I did. I just decided to. Hey, Coffee Bailey's there, eh? Can I get one?
The delivery came.
Right, that's awesome. Hey, can I get a scotch? Anyway, but you need to change your role there. And another good example is Ian LaPerriere. He played with LA, block shots, PK specialist. I remember Ian, he played in the Q. He scored 50 goals one year. He was a pretty good player, but he came in the NHL and decided to change his role. He started fight. He didn't fight that much in junior. He was like the player that scored goals and that. But he said, to make it, I'm going to be a PK specialist, play the game, and I'll fight once in a while. He was a great team player that would stand up for anyone, So there's another good example, because you see guys that just change their roles and they find a way to make it a living in the NHL. So that's what I did also. I said, okay, I'm just going to go there and be the physical guy. And I was a fourth-line guy, not much ice time. And I never considered myself like a heavy, but I would go just, I want to stay in the NHL. I'll be part of the team, whatever they want me to do. And I started fighting, and I was a four-line guy. I fought all the big guys. And even though I wasn't the biggest, I just went on and did whatever I had to do to stay there. So
you talked about your first fight, Andre. So I played in Sherbrooke, in the Q. And my first fight was against Mario Marois.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Mario Marois.
But so everybody on the team knew him from the other years and stuff, but nobody told me he was a lefty. So we dropped the gloves. He hit me 5 times before I even knew I was in a fight.
Yeah. That's something you need to study, eh? Lefty, righty. I've been there too. I remember fighting Jamie Allison. I was going to say Jason. Jamie Allison played with Calgary, Nashville defenseman. He was a lefty. I had no clue. I was in the American Hockey League with Providence. He was with St. John Flames. And I remember going like this, like I grabbed this jersey to go right. I thought he was a righty. The left came, boom, boom, boom. My nose was all like, I had no clue. I thought he was a right-handed, and he hit me pretty good. Then my eyes all watery, and just fell to the ice and felt shame, like Denis Lemieux. And you feel shame, go to the box and feel shame. But it happens. It's part of the game, eh? You're not going to win every fight. So.
I would throw this back at you also, Andre, just just sort of dwelling a little bit on playing for the Boston Bruins, but going back to junior as a drafted player by the Boston Bruins, and everybody knows how the recipe of that team is, and you're a physical player, but I would suggest that put more of a target on your back because guys wanted to make a name for themselves coming after you when you went back to junior, and 33 goals and 300 penalty minutes, that would be enough to tell me this kid's ready because he took on all challengers.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you're right, because when I came back, obviously some guys that aren't drafted, tough guys, whatever, and they see you've been drafted, they're like, I'm going to show, I can take on this guy and that. So I did accept a lot of fights, in the queue, and same thing going in the pro hockey. They see your stats a lot of time. You play teams, they look at the pins and they see 300 whatever minutes. So you play this team, and obviously I always had these 1, 2 guys, 3 guys, whatever. Back then there was like always 6, 7 guys in the minors that could fight, you know. And I remember every game there was always like lots of fights and always someone that wanted, let's go, you know. Oh, you're like, oh man. So, you know, I guess here it's a role that I was like, okay, now this is gonna be my thing. And I had the same mentality, that the same thinking, I mean, to not back down. I was like, if I back, well, obviously it's 6-1, 3 minutes left or whatever. Sometimes I'd be beat it, you know, go have you know, but you know, just to make my way up, I tried to just fight and play very physical, but I did have to answer the bell quite often because my rep and the PIM column with all the PIMs, you know, so. But what do you want to do? You know, all the tough guys, I guess, were in the same boat. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but it got you to the NHL. It kept you there for a while, and you won a Stanley Cup. So,
yeah.
I mean, doing what you had to do obviously wasn't all that bad after all.
No, exactly. It's a tough role. I think mentally, seriously, that's what people always ask me. I'm like, it's for me anyways. I think most of tough guys, you know, mentally you always I visualize a lot, you know, so I watch either fight tapes of guys, you know. If we played the Leafs, I knew like let's say Ty Domi or even Wade Belak that was there, you know, they were tough guys, and I studied tape like that. If you go Donald Brashear or whatever, you know, so I think mentally it was pretty tough. Like, and sometimes I remember like playing games where I'd have like 2 minutes 40 seconds, like 2 minutes whatever 40 or 3 minutes of ice time, and after the game I was so exhausted because I kept like, I was so anxious and just, it's gonna happen and I'm gonna fight, and then I'd go on the ice, see what the tough guy, let's say Chris Simon or Bogart or Probert, it wasn't out there, you know, I'd come back on the bench, and then I'd get another shift, then the whistle would blow, they would change the lines, but then I was always hyped up. You get hyped up, you know, and Jack's for 2 hours, the game finished, I didn't fight, nothing happened, I'm in the room, and I go back home, have a beer or two, and I was like, oh my God, I'm so exhausted. I barely play, but just the energy it takes off you mentally, and that, it was crazy. It was just thinking too much of fighting and that, but that was me. Just so much anxiety, so much, you know, thinking of fighting. And then, you know, you go home and have like you said, couple beers, I'd be so dead tired. And I was like, I barely played, but it was just all the hype, you know, that was inside of me the whole 2.5 hours, 3 hours, the game last, whatever. So, just a tough role, you know, but like I said before, you know, I always told myself I'll do whatever to stay there. And when I was 34, that was my last year. I tried to sign. Then I started thinking again, I should have done this. Should I maybe did this? Should I fought him more, maybe to get more contracts? I guess I was just washed up and too old. So,
Well,
you know what it is, Andre. Andre, so
yeah,
I got a couple of things. First of all, when you we've talked to some tough guys. I've seen interviews with tough guys, and they talk about how difficult it was, like the night before a game when you knew you were playing a tough guy, and what you went through trying to fall asleep and that sort of thing.
Oh yeah, that's a little part of the anxiety during the game. But the afternoon naps, like I'm a guy that really like to shut it down a little bit, just to, you know, rest my head and be ready ready to go. So, but afternoon naps, I don't know how many times I couldn't sleep. I was just rolling and thinking. Then I'd be like, all right, I'm up. All right, you don't want me to sleep? I won't sleep. And the wife, who are you talking to? No one, leave me alone. So I'd go on hockey fights, start looking at fights and grabbing a coffee, espresso, and then I'd just like doing skip rope in the house. But you're right. And the night before it happened too. But at one point you'd fall asleep. And good story. I have a good story actually with the Boston Bruins. First NHL game. They called me up when I was 20 years old. Like I said, I don't think I was ready to become. I wasn't quite the man, and I was still like, 202 or whatever when I was 20. I was strong, but not like a 26, 27-year-old. I get called up by the Bruins playing the Buffalo Sabres. So I go to the hotel in Boston, and then I start thinking again, like, okay, I'm playing the Buffalo Sabres, Rob Ray, Brad May, Barnaby. Well, Barnaby's all right. I could, but hey, Barney, just kidding, buddy. You're good. I like you. But Rob Ray, Brad May. Oh my God, man! I was like, man, can I fight these? Like, if I have to, I guess I'll fight them. But hey, I didn't. I fell asleep. I think it was 4 a.m. that night, just thinking of the next game, my first NHL game. Then I was like, what if they beat me up bad? My career is over. I started thinking of so much scenarios of me getting beat up, Rob Ray with no shirt on and just teeing off on my head, 20-year-old sucking his thumb. So I was like, man, I kept rolling. I couldn't sleep. I was doing push-ups at 2 a.m. trying to, and I remember I barely slept that night. I was so nervous about my debut and facing the Buffalo Sabres. But yeah, you're right. Just nights not sleeping. I've been through that many times, especially when you're facing tough guys like any tough guys. I mean, and especially when something happened the game before and you just know it's gonna happen, the next game. That's tough mentally, and it takes away the sleep now for me, anyways.
The other thing that guys always talk about is Squid and I, and it kind of amazed me a lot, was that all the guys we've spoken to had said they never fight angry. Now, Chris Nyland told us when he was on, he did once, and he regretted it after because he lost the fight. Because the way they always, and Andre, maybe you can attain to this, they always felt they wanted to be in control, so they never got themselves angry, and they could fight better than and stay in control. Was that how you approached it as well?
Yeah, exactly. What a great quote from Knuckles. And it's true. Even in MMA, I remember GSP, those guys said they never go hangry and crazy because you waste a lot of energy, and you might do mistakes because you're not thinking. You're just you're just so pissed off that maybe sometimes you're just not gonna fight the same way. So it's a perfect quote. It's important to you're ready, mentally, you're going to get into a fight, but you have to be smart about it. All depend who you're fighting. If it's somebody that fights for 3 minutes, good guys, like there's some guys that would go on forever. When I think of Darren Langdon or, even Bob Probert, Mick Sorley, those guys could fight forever. You have to make sure you don't just go out the first 15, 20 seconds, then you're done, and they'll just kick the snot out of you. So those are all things. Even guys that punch really hard, like let's say you face a Tony Twist, or Colton Orr was known to be a good puncher too. You have to be very careful of how you're going to go and fight those guys, So and it comes to the angriness. I think if you go in all mad and that's where you're going to open up, maybe do mistakes and get caught and just end up losing the fight. So it's just a perfect quote from Knuckles and any former guys that say that. I agree with it.
Yep. The other thing I was going to, actually, just as a sidebar to that, Tiger Williams, they used to avoid, that was before your time and around Rick's time. They used to avoid him because the thing about Tiger was guys would fight. They'd get their one fight out of the way, as you'd say, you'd wait all night and be anxious, and he'd get the fight out of the way. But Tiger didn't think that way. If he fought you once, he'd fight you every time you're on the ice. And guys were tired of that. They don't want to deal with that. And so they just stayed away from him because they didn't want to go through it all night.
Okay, well, Mike, he was a completely different animal, that guy, Tiger, I'm telling you.
That's why he's the leader, all-time leader in PIMS.
Yeah.
He's but real quick, I met all those guys. I met Ricky just doing all these events, charity events. I met a lot of these guys, so it's fun to talk with Tiger, those guys. But yeah, Tiger was yeah, just from watching tapes and stuff like that, all the pimps he racked up, he must have been something out there for sure. Yeah, and it's true. A lot of times I did fight and I was anxious. I was hyped up. We'd get in a fight, then, okay, now I can play. But, when you have a guy like that just comes back, let's go, you want to go, let's go. It's like, all right, can we just play hockey? Like, stop coming after me every game, every shift, wanting to fight. Like, I mean, I like to play too. Sometimes I would fight right away so I could play the game after, because it's way I felt way better once I got in the tilt. And then I could just play. Then is it going to happen? Okay. And then I just think about fighting. Second period, okay, maybe now I get 2-3 shifts in. Nothing happened. Third period again. No, let's just get it out of the way. Boom, boom, boom. Let's go back to my room. And boom, boom, boom. Let's play hockey and have fun with it.
Well, speaking of playing hockey,
mentally.
So Andre, let's do the fun part then. So you go to Ottawa, but you end up in Tampa Bay. Talk about the Stanley Cup year and the end result. That's it's all about. That's what makes it worthwhile.
Yeah, I was playing with the Sens. I was there 2.5 years, and I was part of the years where we lost it in the first round to the Leafs every year. That was tough because honestly, regular season, that was 2000, 2001, and 2002, early 2000s. So we were finishing first every year. The Sens, with Jacques Martin, we had the Radek, Bonk, Marianosa, Redden. Martin Avlat, we were really good in the regular season, and come playoff time, it's a different game, and that's a great proof because the Leaf, they would turn it up, they'd be physical. Like I remember with the Tucker, Wendell, Joe Nieuwendyk, even McCabe on D was really tough to play against those guys. So, it was just it sucked that we lost to the Leafs, but anyways. So I got traded that third year to Tampa, and I remember going to Tampa, and I was really sour about the trade because my name wasn't in any rumors, and I was playing pretty well with the Sens. There was some good articles, good things said about me, so I was pretty confident. I liked it because it was close to home too for friends, family to come see me in Ottawa. So then I got traded in Tampa. They're out of the playoffs, obviously. So I turned the franchise around. I said, all right, guys, let me show you how it's done. So I took just kidding. So I got there but there was a good group there. The core, with the Marty St. Louis that just started to make a name for himself, Vinny Lecavalier, Brad Richards. They started bringing some pieces in. So Dave Andreychuk, Tim Taylor's good veterans, Danny Boyle, then Pavel Kubina that played with the Leafs too. So that first year I got suspended. I don't know. I think I was a little sour that year anyways. But the next year we had a pretty good run. We made it in the second round and lost to the Devils. Yeah, that's right. So that was 2003. We lost to the Devils. I think they went and won the cup that year, the Devils. The next year coming to camp as a group, beating we beat the Caps that first year. The year before, lost to the Devils. We had a good camp. Then once the team was all settled, good meeting, team bonding, and we started a year, and wow, we had a great start, with the Javi Bulin. We got Daryl Sidor, veteran. So we had the Modine, Corey Stillman, Fedotenko. Anyway, so a really good start. Then we kind of, I think around December wasn't as good, but then we had a good team meeting in Montreal. From then on, we went on a roll, started winning games after game. Boom, boom.
Where was the meeting?
it was Shapery. So let's put our hands together. Welcome, beautiful Chantal. And no, it was the Montreal. I remember because we lost 3-4 games. Torts all pissed off. So we had a good meeting. We won that game. Then we started winning. We won on a roll, 15, 16 wins in a row. We believed that as a group we could really win. So, anyways. We went in the playoffs, beat the Isles first round in 5, beat the Habs in 4. Then we faced Philly. That went in 7. That was a tough series. And then the Flames in 04 in 7. So just a great run. Everybody contributed differently. And, just a great experience. Got to raise the cup, So obviously I'll cherish that moment for the rest of my life. Just great memories from that year for sure.
You mentioned 3 guys, Andre.
Yeah.
So I played with Dave Andersuk in Buffalo. We sat right beside each other in the dressing room. Brad Richards, good old PEI boy.
Yeah.
And the most impressive and the guy that I love is Marty St. Louis. I got to coach him for 2 years in St. John, New Brunswick.
Yeah.
And I tried to convince Calgary at the end of the year when we went and talked about our whole organization that they should sign him. They could sign him to a 1-year, $500,000 contract. And they wouldn't do it. I said, just put him with some good players. This guy will score you 30 goals, 30 assists. And nobody listened to me. They let him go. Now he's in the Hall of Fame, his Stanley Cup, couple of scoring championships. I mean, but I knew that because I was with him every day.
Yeah. Well, for sure. It's probably hard to predict back then, right? It's nowadays you're like, oh, the Flames really fucked up on that. But I knew Marty because I played minor hockey against him, and he was always, just a good player. Small. Mm-hmm. I think that's the only thing that really there's me giving him some beers while he's getting stitched up. I was in great shape too, a little skinnier than now, but anyway. But Marty was just unreal hockey player growing up, shorter, smaller guy, but, always wanted to prove himself. And that's what he did his whole career. And I remember him saying, like in Calgary, he was playing on the 4th line when he got called up with Craig Berube. And I don't know if it was Dave Laurie or another tough guy, I think. And he's like, I was playing 3-4 minutes a game. So it was tough to produce. I was like, welcome to my world. Yeah, give me 20 minutes. I'd be in the Hall of Fame too with my slap shot, And anyways, no, but kidding aside, Marty just, I think, he was looking for an opportunity going to Tampa off waivers. I think Tortorella probably saw something in him and just started giving him lots of ice time. And Marty, I think, his confidence probably stepped up. He started scoring lots of goals and contributing. And, from then on, it's just history. We know what he did for many, many years. He was just unreal. But just a great example of determination, wanted to prove himself. And I always use him as an example when I talk to people about a hardworking guy. I played with some star players. Like even off ice, he worked his tail off, in the gym, on the ice, wanted to improve as a player, did a lot of drills after in the gym summertime. He would show up at camp always in great, great shape. So, and I think that was a motivation for him, not being drafted, being told his whole career, you're too small, you'll never make it in the NHL. And just unreal to see him. I remember him just getting hit, cross-check. He would get up and roll right in front of the net. And I've seen other guys where they get cross-check or punch in the head. They look at the ref and trying to get a penalty and whining, skating to the bench with their head down. I kind of, that type of body language, I hate seeing that, But Marty never said a word, just battled through it and just, I'm going to compete. I don't care if you punch me, cross-check me. Just unreal to watch. Unreal.
Well, now, speaking of motivation, the guy at the top, John Tortorella, he's a guy that he's probably a very polarizing figure. You must have some stories on him.
Yeah. some good and not as good stories. And I tell people I had some good stuff. There's a bee right here. How are you doing, bud? There's some good stuff like the cup run. Torts was great. Played me a lot. Trusted me, and some other stuff that happened, decisions that I never understand. Like I took, let's say I would take a penalty, and obviously I had a reputation around the league. Just, I've been suspended for stuff, and being the physical guy, the guy that fought. Some refs I would have a shorter leash than a LeCavier or I don't know, Corey Stillman or whatever. So I know that sometimes one year I remember, and Torts was always like, Andre, we need you under control now. Just go out there, be careful, under control. It's like, yes, I know. And I was so worried. I was almost scared to finish checks and hurt somebody and get a penalty and whatever. So that first year in 2003, I remember being in the playoffs. We had a good talk right before the playoffs. First game, our goalie, Nikolai Habibulin, freezes the puck. And I remember we were playing the Caps, and Jeff Halpern came in and kind of hit Habibulin's glove. And Habibulin kind of went like, with his hand. And I just came in and pushed Halpern in the chest. And he took a dive back. The referee's like, Roy, roughing, 2 minutes. I was like, come on now, are you kidding? I barely touched him. He's like, go to the box. I don't want to hear you roughing. So I'm like, oh my, I didn't even touch him. I just pushed him aside. It was a joke. So I go in the box and I look across. I could see Torts there. Fuck. And he's walking like he's doing the walk behind the bench, but just looking and staring at me. I'm like, oh man. And I'm like this. I'm crossing my fingers, my legs, my arms. It's like, please, guys, kill the penalty. Please kill the penalty. So Jaromir Jagr scores on the PP. So I do the skate of shame. I skate to the penalty, to the bench. And Torts is waiting for me. You fucking selfish fucking sit your ass over there. You are done. You're done. I said, Torts, I don't want to hear anything. You sit over there. Go sit. So, oh my God. So I just let him, when he loses it, I mean, there's nothing you can do. We've seen him in Vancouver with Bob Hartley. And I almost texted him, hey, Torts, stay under control when that happened with the Canucks. But no, Torts a good guy. And I tell people we're the same. Like when I snap, when he snapped, we're the same. Our heads like bumped, and we had a lot of F-bomb matchup. Oh no, and he liked that sometimes, but I remember, so after that he told me we were going 3-4 in Washington. He called me at home. He's like, you're not coming on the road trip on the I was like, why? He's like, well, I'm not gonna play you. I don't want you to be a distraction. You were selfish. Are you kidding me? I try to just protect our goalie anyways, just stuff like that. So I went home. Guys were calling me, where are you? I was like, I guess I'm staying home. Torts doesn't want me around the locker room. I don't know. So just stuff like that. Sometimes I didn't agree on those decisions, but it's just stuff and he was a guy that took some decisions really quick, and sometimes he kind of regretted too, Then we get back, we'd have a meeting and say, maybe I shouldn't have done it that way, whatever. But I heard he's improved too as a coach on that area, that aspect of him with Columbus. Now going to Philly, I don't know how that's going to turn out. But he's a good coach. X and O's, he's very prepared. He knows what he's doing, a lot of videos. So he's going to have a good impact, I think, going to Philly. But on the long run, I don't know,
Well, he kind of just he's settled down a little bit, I think, and I mean, he was my assistant coach in Buffalo under Rick Dudley, and Rick Dudley was a hothead too. So Torts had to be the kind of nice guy, right? Which nobody would imagine that he could be that, but he was the nice guy, and Duds was the guy who was going crazy all the time. But we had Duds on, and he had a lot of good things to say about John as a person, and how he's evolved as a coach as well.
Yeah. Oh no, absolutely. He's a good guy. He's a great guy. He's involved in the community. He's great to talk to off the ice. You know, I think summertime he has a dog thing, a charity for dogs, a rescue dog kind of thing that he's involved too with. A great guy. Just he's got the Italian in him, the blood, the what is the hot blood, you know, like. But he's just a hard nose. He reacts quick, like me. You know, when I snap, you know, it's tough to Andre, settle down. No, I'm not gonna settle down. I'm gonna, anyways. But you know, but he has good qualities. A good coach, and it's just how he is. And Rick Dudley's the guy that actually brought me in Ottawa, so I know he liked tough guys because I was in the minors, and he signed me as a free agent with the Senators. And he was talking to me. I remember on the phone, he liked the way I played and the physicalness. So, yeah, you're right. Dudley and Torts together must have been woo.
The Stanley Cup victory. You must have had some really good now, you did a really cool thing. I'd like you to share this with the listener with your day with the Cup, I think, which was a first.
Yeah.
You want to share that one with the guys?
Yeah. It's I had exactly. I had a really well organized, and you have to, when you win the Cup, it's one day. Well, guys like me, Andrew Chuck probably had 3, 4, 5, St. Louis, those guys. But the plugs like me and Chris Dingman, and we have the Cup for one day, so it's important to really have a schedule in your day, and it goes by so fast. I tell people that it's crazy. So I got the Cup at home in the morning around 10. I had it till noon. From there, I was I lived on a golf course, so one of my buddies that works with RDS hooked me up. I didn't know. That was like the surprise for me on the day. Had an helicopter picking me up at my golf course by my house, and the pilot was Guy Lafleur. So I was like, wow, I couldn't believe he told me about the helicopter bringing me to my hometown, which is 20 minutes away from where I live now. So I was like, oh, that's awesome. But I didn't know the Lafleur thing. That was a surprise. So I see the helicopter land. I'm coming with the Cup. And then I put it, you know, inside the helicopter. Then I see the pilot kind of go around. But then I see it's Guy Lafleur. So I was like, Guy Lafleur, what are you doing here? He's like, I'm the pilot. You're the pilot? You're flying me? You're the ones guy? He's like, yeah. And I was like, come on, no. So everybody's laughing. It was like a surprise. I was like, I can't believe, like, he was an idol. I watched him as a teen growing up, obviously, you know. So I had Lafleur driving me in the air to my hometown. So that was pretty special. And in that same moment, I proposed to my wife. So I had bought a ring. I thought about doing it. And I said, why not do it at the same time with the Stanley Cup? So as we're in the air, I bought a ring. I had it in my pocket. I put it in the Stanley Cup there. So I remember my girlfriend, wife at the time, was just looking outside because she didn't want to be sick. And I was like, hey, look in the cup. There's still a little bit champagne. She's like, yeah, later. I was like, no, but look, there's something funny. And she's like, yeah, leave me alone. I was like, hey, seriously, look at the cup. It's something. No, she's like, you're annoying. So she looked and she was like, what's, I was like, open it. She's like, what is, so she opened it. It was all wrapped on. I had the ring. So I was like a gentleman and, hi, honey, will you marry me? Yeah, me. I know I'm a little crazy sometimes. I love you. Would you like to? So I proposed to the wife, and I think it was a first. So, yeah, it was. So that's pretty Cup party. It turned out as an engagement and Stanley Cup party. We had fun that day.
And meeting Guy Lafleur.
Yeah, and Guy Lafleur. Yeah, that was awesome.
You can't get any better than that.
No, exactly. That was unreal. I have great pictures with the flower in the cup, and just good memories for sure, man. That was awesome. You know, I didn't expect it, so it was a nice surprise.
Well, one of the funny things that we laugh about is that, Squid and I talk about this, is that every player, and we've had guys tell us when they win the Stanley Cup, the interview's on the ice. Now, you must get a chuckle out of this, having gone through it yourself. But they get the microphone in front of them, and we've had guys tell us they even rehearse what they're going to say, Because when that moment comes up, then all of a sudden that microphone gets put in front of their face, and all of a sudden their minds just go completely blank, and they can't say anything. Yeah. Did you experience the same thing yourself when you guys won?
Yeah. I didn't press Game 7, so that's another thing with Torts. But I'm glad we still won the cup, and I'm not trying to be selfish. We won the cup. I played 21 games in the playoffs and got scratched 6-7. So that was kind of that hurt. But if I look back, we still won the cup, and I'm happy. It's what I dreamed of. I would have loved to be there. So what I'm saying now is I was in the room, and like with all the guys were getting dressed, and I started drinking a little beers. I was like, win or lose, we are done. It was Game 7. So I started drinking a couple beers. So I think I went on the ice. I was a little buzzed too, So if you look at tapes on the ice, I remember some guys were like, who the hell is skating in the background? I was just having a blast. And guys were doing interviews on CBC, and you could see there's a guy in the back doing sprints and just skating around. That was me. I was diving on the ice, and I was just being like a kid. I was so excited. I remember doing some interviews with the French media from Montreal and in English. And like you said, obviously you always want to say the correct things, and but I was just like, oh man, it's just great. I just want to say hi to everybody. We're gonna party this summer. We're gonna have a blast. And I was just like yelling and just having a blast, and just like a kid in a candy store. I don't think it even makes sense what I was saying, but anyways, people were calling me after, man, that was hilarious on TV. I didn't understand what you said, but it was funny as hell. So anyways, I had fun with it, and good times for sure.
Now, any crazy stories you can tell us from the boys? You guys didn't have a bar bill like the Boston Bruins when they rang up $1,000 bill.
Yeah. No, we didn't. We went out for obviously win the cup. Then the next day there's the parade, and then you've seen image the last couple of years, the lightning and I wish we would have done the Sea-Doos and the boating. We didn't have that. It was downtown and the cars and that, but it was still pretty amazing fun. And then next day's a dinner with family, wives, whatever. Next day, boys going out. Next day again going out. Then we're going out after a week of going out all the time. Guys are it's tough on the body. Just partying. Some guys start kind of sneaking out of Tampa, going back home or on vacation. But nothing crazy. I think we got some limos and just partied. What have we done? At Andrew Chuck's house, I think till 8 a.m. one night, the night of the cup, with the cup in the pool, all dressed up. We're playing WWE with the Stanley Cup, WF, whatever. So, but nothing crazy. You're just singing, guys all naked in the pool, and it was just, just a fun time.
Now,
I guess.
Obviously, you win a cup. There's got to be some great leadership. Obviously, Dave Vanderchuck, I know Dave very well. I know he'd be a good leader. Who are the other guys that kind of, took the leadership role on that team?
Yeah, well, like you said, some guys are leaders by on the ice. Some others are good talkers and a good voice in the locker room. And Andy is one. Dave Vanderchuck, I think, was pretty good. Tim Taylor, awesome. Mm-hmm. We had a video message from a message left by Ray Bourque. I guess Tim was good friends with Raymond Bourque, and he left a good message, like sort of a motivation speech for our team that he put on the speaker, and we listened to. So Timmy Taylor, Dave, I think even Vinny Lecavier, Marty St. Louis was actually a good voice in the room too, So Daryl Sador was a veteran we acquired. Was he in Dallas at that time? Or anyways, he won the cup with the Dallas Stars, so we knew Daryl would be good too. So on D, he was very good. So those guys, all mixed together. Freddie Modine also was a pretty good vocal voice. So some guys would just go out there and play hard on the ice, but you need that. I think you need a good mix of guys that can, calm down things in the locker room whenever everybody's like just running around or just panicking, whatever. It's important to have veterans to settle things down, and then on the ice, just go out and play and lead by example. You need guys like that too.
Well, now you mentioned that leadership from those guys. Now you as a young, impressionable guy, and we can see you're a very excitable guy and very anxious guy, so that's a very good thing with lots of energy. But was there a guy coming up that you played with, or guys that you admired how they carried themselves both on and off the ice, and the term used today is the good pro?
I think, in Ottawa, I'd like to use Daniel Alfredson. I think I played with him. There's another guy, and it seems like the star players, the guys that are successful, are guys that are just dedicated to the game. Not that nobody else is, but obviously a lot of guys, sometimes we need those days off. We want to kind of rest our bodies and just go have a beer, forget about hockey. And not that these guys don't do it, but I think Alfredson, in the gym, after practices, on the ice, just the way he carried himself, he was just a professional, not the loudest guy, the most vocal, but just the way he handled himself. Then I like to use Marty St. Louis in Tampa. He's the same type, on, off the ice, what he eats, sleep, and that. And I saw Sidney Crosby as a rookie. He was very young, but the reason he's probably the best hockey in the world at the time, going 1 overall, I saw why. I was there. I signed as a free agent, and Sid, 18 years old, had 102 points that year, 102. We were terrible that year, but Sid just had a tremendous year as an 18-year-old. Did a lot of extra work after, went to bed early, ate properly, and just, it was just hockey. So those are just Mario played a little bit, but not enough to see, how he was. But I think Mario Lemieux was just a pure talent, just unreal. Another guy I like to see where I finished in Calgary was Jerome McGinley. Wow, what a true sport. If I'd have to look up to a player, is Jerome McGinley. There's a guy that in the gym, 3 plates, squatting, boom, boom. After we have a day off tomorrow, mid-season, he's going hard doing squats and plyometrics, whatever. Just unreal. You see, why he has the success he has is just a guy that's so dedicated to the game, So Jerome McGinley, too, was very impressive.
So, Andre, we didn't have a gym back in my day, so I just didn't bother.
It was just drinking beer.
They had Jim Beam.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I heard so many great stories of the guys playing 70s, 80s, whatever. Awesome.
Yeah.
So now, speaking of which, so some of the jokesters, now, any pranks you can share with us that you spotted over the years? I'm sure you're probably center of a few of those.
Hey, he was probably part of it.
That's what I just said. I'm guessing that, Squid.
Yeah. Well, I like I tell people, I'm more of a guy, jokes, not as like doing pranks and stuff. I've done some stuff, but I'm more a guy of in the moment, I'm like, I think of stuff, I look around, I'm going to do this, guys will howl, let's say we'd go to Morton's, let's say a restaurant, it's a nice steakhouse in the States, so, and then I'd go, in the back while guys are eating and that. So I go in the back, I see like the plates coming out, and I kind of knew it's our table, and I'd go and talk to the waiter. Hey, do you mind if I kind of help you guys out? I just want to. So let's say I grab a tuxedo. I take, let's say, my shirt off, bare chest. And then I grab, how they have the folding thing that kind of just goes like an X like this.
Yeah.
I would use it like as an old man, like a cane, I would walk with it, and I'd come to the table limping with it, and guys were like, what the fuck is he doing? And then people in the restaurant are kind of just looking at me like, who the hell? And then I'd put it by the table, go get the tray. I'd bring the steaks on the table. So who had the fillet, the 8-ounce fillet? That's you. Okay, here you go. There's just stuff like crazy like that. We do shoe checks. Obviously, the shoe checks under the table. You grab ketchup and ranch sauce, put it on the guy's Gucci shoes that he paid. I don't know how much money. That was always funny. And I remember nailing some some rookies like getting called up, and I would nail their helmet with the chin strap on because we put it in our stall there, the wood stall. I grab a nail and I would just hit it before they show up at the ring. So as they go on the ice, they would try to get the helmet, but I would nail the straps on the wood there. Just stuff like they would try to, what the heck? Then they'd get up and try to, they'd ask the trainer for a hammer just to get the nails out. Just stuff like silly stuff like that.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Just obviously the shaving cream and the gloves or skates. We've done that too. I remember in Caroline, actually, we had a team meal with Torts. Torts would wear these little reading glasses on the tip of his nose when we do the videos and when he'd read his notes in the locker room. We had a team meal in Carolina at Roots Chris. Torts left and forgot his glasses. So I remember going, somebody's like, hey, Torts forgot his glasses. I got up. I put the glasses on the tip of my nose. Guys, there's maybe 2 tables left of maybe 8, 9 guys. Most of guys start leaving, going back to the hotel. So I put the glasses on and I'm like pretending I'm Torts. So I was like, you guys, fucking, you wonder why you're out of the lineup, Le Cavalier? You think you're working? You're not. You're a franchise player. You're embarrassing. Fucking get your head out of your ass and start fucking playing like a franchise player. Yeah? Or you'll be out of lineup so fast you won't have no clue. And they're kind of laughing. I'm like, what are you laughing at, Richards? Hey, pretty boy, you think you're cute? You'll be like, whoa, watching the games from up there eating popcorns. Fuck, you're out of shape. Get on the bike. I'm just fucking around like that. God damn it, you fucking guys. You think you're working out, you're not. I'll send you in the minor. And just saying whatever Torts has been saying in the season, So they're laughing, but then I kind of slowly notice that guys are not as laughing as much. And I keep doing my Tortorella impression. So I kind of see from the corner of my eye, there's like a little dot there so I kind of turn slowly. I see the guys are like this, so I turn slowly. I see Torts is in the corner in the doorway with his arms crossed. He's just looking at me while I've been doing Torts for 30 seconds, whatever. He's like shaking his head like, just give me my fucking glasses. So I gave him I said, Torts, you forgot these. Sorry, I was going to bring him back to you. And then next day out of lineup, I was healthy scratch again.
Well, that'll get you into the stands.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, Torts, I was kidding. I was just, no, it's nothing again. I love you, Torts. I was like, oh, man, I'm in trouble, obviously. So anyways, but it was just all for fun. Guys laughed and, yeah. But Torts like that, he liked to have fun when it was the right time. That the Cup year, we had a hell of a season. We finished first in the division. We had in a conference, so we had lots of days off, and he was good, in a good mood, joking. So obviously, everybody that's winning always, it's a good spirit, right? It's fun. So
well, I think what he's doing now is he's taking everything out on the press now rather than the players. I think
Larry Brooks.
Oh my God, Larry Brooks. Have you ever been in a fight, Brooksy? But he's pretty good. If you look on YouTube, there's top 10s of stuff he said in the media or whatever. It's kind of funny, but that's him, eh? That's Torts.
Yeah, that's Torts.
Well, Andre, we're getting down.
He's a good man.
We've kept you now for an hour, but we just a couple minutes left here, and we want to thank you so much for joining us. Just maybe a couple other things while you're on a roll here going. Some of the guys on the ice now, some of the funniest chirps you've heard on the ice, especially now, you sound like you're a guy who probably gives a few. What are some of the best ones you've given, or some you've heard?
Oh my God. Well, I've said a lot of, it was mean back then. Nothing racist, but just mean stuff about moms or girlfriends and just stuff like that. Going the hard part, you hear a story, you would use it, but properly, not maybe. There's a line where you have to be careful, but a lot of stuff, obviously, calling guys' name, all the words, the bad words you can think of, whatever, but some funny stuff. Well, what was I remember one guy, I'm not gonna say who, but I heard on the bench, who was it? A guy I played with in the minor. He's like, hey, he names the guy that actually playing the NHL. He's like, hey, Nana, have you got your trophy yet? So he's like, hey, Nana, have you had your trophy? But he's loud. He's right by our bench. He looks at him. The fucking trophy you talking about? He's like, the trophy of the ugliest fuck in the league, you dumb fuck. Anyways, because the guy was just ugly with acne all over his face. I know it can be mean, but I howled so loud. That was actually in the moment. I don't know. The guy was, oh fuck, did I laugh so hard at that one? But I know it might be cruel for some people, but but that's how you try to get under guys, under their skins. Barnaby was a master at that. Sean Avery, those guys. Real quick, I had so many quotes that I can't think of right now. I don't know, the pressure of the Stanley Cup interview right now, I'm feeling it. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff said.
Hey, while you're thinking of that, let me give you the one Barney gave us. Squid and I love this one. I guess he was, as you talk about, a real chirper. And when he was going at somebody and they were giving it to him back and forth, and somebody went at him hard about his mother. See, so that kind of crossed the line a little bit. So he went up to the guy who it was and just said to him, yeah, you want to keep talking like that? Well, let's see how your wife feels when she hears about your girlfriend in Montreal. So the guy kind of looked at him, double take, and didn't say anything. So for the rest of the game and the rest of the series was during the playoffs, he left him alone and he stayed away from Barney. Barney kept looking at him like, be careful. And so in the handshake line, they're going through and the guy comes up to me, looks at him, and he looked, man, how the fuck did you know like about that girl in Montreal? Barney goes, because I was banging her sister or girlfriend.
Wow.
And the guy goes, you got to be kidding. And Barney, Rick and I just howl. Like, so, I mean.
Well, hey, when you got that kind of dirt on a guy, you use it. You use it as much as you can.
Exactly, because there's a lot of guys that know each other and know a friend so you hear stories sometimes. I know what, really? Okay, I'm gonna get under his skin with that one. And the guy's like, how the fuck does he know about this? You know? So, I was just chirping. Like, I remember like Dave Lowry in 2004, he was close to retirement too, and I was from the bench. Hey, Lowry, you old fucking bastard! Why don't you retire, you old fuck? I was giving it to him, but it was just, in the moment you're trying to get under everybody's skin is just stuff like that. That's not too bad, but I mean, it's the stuff that was said back then. And it worked. I mean, Claude Lemieux made a living out of it. A lot of guys were just masters at getting under the skin of other players. So,
Squid, a final comment before Andre go?
No, it's just he did one thing that I never did, and that was win a cup. So, Andre, that's fabulous, and you were a great guest today. Obviously, we had a blast in the mountain, and then again in where the hell were we? Near Barrie somewhere.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for having me. And one thing I never did is scoring 50 goals like you. So I guess we're even there. But but also I know maybe some Leafs fans, people in the area are like, why, Andre? Wow, I've been doing a lot of events the last 4 or 5 years, and I met Rick a couple times with Jackson events and Hockey Helps the Homeless. We've done even Easter Seals. We see the picture there. So I've been involved in different charity events, which I like, and I've been seeing lots of former Leafs players. So I almost feel like a Leaf player now, just meeting all the Corson, the Wendell, even Tucker, Primo. I met a bunch of guys, Tiger and Ricky. So so it's always good. That's how we kind of met, and here I am today, a podcast with you guys. So. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, we talk to all players, so not just Maple Leafs. So we talk to everybody. So it's wide open. The name is a little bit not really what we are all about. But again, we want to thank you so much for joining us. You are quite funny and some great stories and some great insights. And thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Always fun, and I'll say hi to my former girlfriends in the Toronto area.